But today we have a special guest. He's going to introduce himself, but as usual, my name is Peter Lusaya, your host, and
I am Father Angelo Munduni Dema.
Okay, apart from that, then we have our guest.
So thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Dr. Peter Baofu. I'm an American visionary, an author of more than 180 different books in all fields of knowledge, the natural sciences, the social sciences, the humanities, and the formal sciences in all fields of knowledge in relation to the mind, culture, nature, and society, which means that I have engaged in more or less every single topic that you can imagine. And I have proposed more than 145 different new theories and visions of the human future, including some unified theories of everything. And I have been in more than 135 different countries around the world already, including many of them in North Africa, Eastern Africa, Central Africa, Western Africa, and Southern Africa, and the rest of the world.
What kind of lesson does Africa get from these issues of Hamas?
There are four major explanations why Africa is so underdeveloped and what can be done about that. One is the cultural issue, the second one is the social issue, the third one is the natural issue, and the fourth one is the mental issue. You need to engage all of them to resolve the major problems of underdevelopment in Africa. So in the case over here, back to your previous question and to your own question too, I try to link two of your questions together into one question. Why, for example, the problem in Congo and some other in Burundi or Rwanda, whatever, and you have underdevelopment. One of the major reasons over here is tribalism. Africa has been suffering from tribalism in the sense that on the one hand you have the idealism of Pan-Africanism. By the way, your first leader,
Julius,
he's one of the founders of the Pan-Africanism. So that is the right movement, the direction to that unity. But on the other hand, it's easy to say but not easy to do, because in reality you have tribalism. Look at right now, even in the case of Western Africa and Central Africa, you have Niger, the coup. Look at how the African countries have been reacting. Countries like Nigeria and Ghana are supporting more or less against the coup and on the line with Western powers. Other countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and all that, Niger, they are more or less like on the side of the coup leaders. Why do you have this kind of division? Well, you see that? You have something about now in Gaza. Look at Kenya. Kenya now is condemning Hamas. But on the other hand, you have some other African countries. South Africa is supporting the Palestinians. Why? You see, Africans are not united. Why do they pursue that? Because they have their own interests, they have their own ideologies. Kenya, for example, is courting the Western powers because they have courting foreign direct investment and some of the foreign aid from foreign powers, in this case Western powers. Western Africa has a long history of anti-apartheid movement, and they are always siding with the Palestinians against oppression. They consider what's happening now in Gaza is apartheid by Israel against the Palestinians, and they are very sympathetic because we went through this ourselves. Now see that divisionism. Yeah. So you ask, how can you overcome that? How can you overcome the African underdevelopment? My answer is there are four categories of explanation why. I just give you one example. Those are more or less the cultural explanation, but there are many other issues that we can discuss that that we can go more deeply, and I have solution to all of them because I have written about all of them.
The biggest problem for me it's nepotism. Nepotism in the sense that people who have the powers, they cling together. And to a point that also the influence of the power brokers, those who do development practice in Africa, especially let's say in a particular country, if there's going to be a foreign aid, who signs, and how the signing is communicated. For example, Tanzania, we have a very sensitive issue to talk about the ports. the people involved who signed, the consultations that were done, the power holders above. This happens almost everywhere. You find in the Congo, you find there's a mining industry, mining field done. You find who signs, how is it communicated. It's more to do with the influential and the affluent, the political people who hold the power. The tribe is used as like to clap hands, like, okay, this man is from our tribe, we support, but honestly, in a way, it's more to do with the big source.
Remember I just mentioned 4 categories of explanation. I give you one is about cultural, and now what you said is what I classify as the social one. That is a social issue, that's a social structure in a society. And in Africa, that is another major problem, that's about corruption. The social structure in Africa, there are a lot of different groups. You use the word nepotism or corruption, whatever you call it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there are different groups. They fight with each other for their own interest. Okay, that is a question of social structure. There's another issue that's also very important one too. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there's also another thing that I said that this is a major issue too. Political divisionism, for example, in Africa is another example of the social issues. Different political parties, they have their own agenda, and they often disagree. They pursue their own interest, and it doesn't matter what you say at the end of the day, or is it just rhetoric, but when you sign the paper, they look into how does it benefit us, being whatever the group that you belong to. That's the social structure in the society. So I agree with you that that is a major issue over here, but this one is what I classify as the social issue, as opposed to the cultural one. There's another issue that's also important too. But remember, I'm the kind of thinker who does not have one vision to explain everything. I propose more than 145 different visions and theories to explain them all. So each theory, each vision is to address one angle, and then we go to another angle, there will be another explanation. So I'm glad that you mentioned that's another issue that's very pervasive about Africa.
Okay.